How y'all guys doing today? This is my first official episode of the Mount Sports Talk.
I am back. What it do, baby?
And you know what? It's a great opportunity to have a guy like KT as a guest on my first show. You know, a fellow Celtics fan, somebody who I definitely talk to all the time ever since college. And you know, KT, I think it's your time to be able to introduce yourself because, you know, I've already introduced myself a couple times. You've been on our podcast, me and Malcolm Ron podcast, but now since it's my podcast, it's something new. Introduce yourself, my boy.
Yeah, man. So for those who don't know, what's up? My name is KT. Yeah, I've known Malcolm for a minute now. It's going on probably like 6 years, I think it is. So yeah, he's a huge Celtics fan, huge sports brain. I come to him and talk about sports all the time. So it's a joy to see him, you know, branching out and doing his thing. I love the M&R show. I think you guys did great with that, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do independently and together in the future. So, you know, it's a pleasure to be on your show. I'm happy to be up here, man, and I hear you got some curveballs for me, so you know I'm interested to see what you got, Mal. You know, I want to know what you got for me.
You know, you definitely know I got some curveballs to talk to you, but you know, at the end of the day, we're both Celtics fans, so you know, the first thing we're going to talk about is really the Boston Celtics, and we seen that. We had this. I'm gonna definitely put this on the video. I'm gonna make sure everybody knows of what we said about predictions about what the Celtics are going to do. We said that they were a final. We thought they had the potential to be a finals team. We seen that there was a finals team. You know, Ron, everybody was irritated to see that the Celtics really went to the finals and actually did what we said was going to happen.
I told you that we won't stop. I told you that we won't stop.
So it's happened. You know, they lost. We understand that they have a lot of improvement to be able to do. So one thing we're going to talk about is the Celtics offseason. And the offseason, Brad Stevens, you know, he came in, he said that he wanted to be able to improve the team as far as playmaking abilities and find a scorer off the bench. He found a guy like Malcolm Brogdon off of a trade, which is a beautiful trade. And then you added a guy like Danilo Gallinari. Now, KT, what do you think about those type of moves that Brad Stevens was able to do for the Boston Celtics?
Well, absolutely. First and foremost, you know, let me touch up on what you led off with, you know, as far as the Celtics and our finals run.
Go ahead.
You know, we've been dealing with a lot of phone calls, text messages, Instagram, social media, whatever you want to call it, about the Celtics, and that's fine. I'm cool with that because I'm a fan. I'm a super fan, you know, and I ride when we win, I ride when we lose. But at the end of the day, when we were 24 and 25, and me and you were looking at each other in the 11th seed Eastern Conference, and we said a few things need to happen. Those things happened, and we made our run. Whatever the case may be, I still have faith in my boy Jason Tatum. I still have faith in my boy Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. You know what I'm saying? Player development is the two key words in there. And that's going to lead into my next point to answer your question. Everyone asks me, what should we change? What should we do? Especially with all this news about Kevin Durant and all these other things. They're asking us, what should we shake up? Absolutely nothing. We don't need a big name. We don't need a big signing. We don't need anything like that. We need to continue to at the end of the day, we need to let our system mature and develop and install its roots. This is a new GM. This is a new head coach. This is a new era for the Celtics. You know, we still are trying to revert back to our old ways, defensive-minded head coach, getting out on the run, letting our playmakers be playmakers, and letting our stars be stars. We're not trying to overcomplicate things, and we're going to stick to the basics. And that's something that Udoka sold that dream and sold that vision in his game planning early, and it didn't hit. The guys didn't buy in. Then they bought in. Now the GM is buying in. Brad's buying in. Basketball operations, the whole front office is now buying in with this pickup of Malcolm Brogdon. And you know, I'm cool with Aaron Naismith. You know what I'm saying? I already told you how I felt about Naismith. He just I've had enough of him. He had a great playoff run. You know, it was nice to see him out there with some heart. I hope he develops in the NBA and later on down the road and has a great career. But at the end of the day, he wasn't fit and it was a waste of a spot to me. So that being said, I feel like him, Tice, like you said, the trade was beautifully orchestrated. You know, Brad was definitely in his Danny Ainge bag with that one and got exactly what we needed. We needed a playmaker, someone to come off the bench, someone that's going to take care of the ball and keep things afloat while, you know, our stars are on the bench. So I think that's a beautiful trade. And Danilo is going to be another addition to that bench play. And if he stays healthy as well as Malcolm Brogdon, those are big statements though. If they stay healthy, because you got to call a spade for a spade. You know, Malcolm Brogdon is a great player when he's healthy, and that's a big win. So you know, as long as they can you know get into that Boston Medical, you know, get up there in Massachusetts and you know get some good therapy and some good body training going on, I feel like we'll be all right, and you know we'll make a run for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that we looked at this trade. I think that we basically got Malcolm Brogdon for nothing. And there's a reason why we got Malcolm Brogdon for nothing. I know it's very happy for Celtics fans, especially me, to get a guy like Malcolm Brogdon, which I feel like he's a very good guy who can be able to come off the bench. That's another thing we have to talk about as far as, you know, Marcus Smart and Malcolm Brogdon and how Malcolm Brogdon's come off the bench. I talked to one of my friends recently, Aubrey, you know, you already know. He talked about
a non-educated basketball mind. Let me add that.
And, you know,
what?
I'm happy that we was able to talk about that and understand that,
and we're not throwing shots, because I had many a text message of me saying this to Aubrey. So, Aubrey's a Bulls fan, and he's like the flash pan, fan, like you just throw water in the pan, and then he's all riled up, and then the water disappears, and then it's
exactly
the same pan, bro.
Exactly.
The same pan.
Most definitely.
We're not gonna waste the pod on
we gonna waste our time on Oz, because he's a Bulls fan. You understand how Bulls fans are. They don't really have nothing to waste on. But we seen what Malcolm Brogdon done. We understand that he's just not a healthy player. Last season he only played like 36 games. From my understanding, from my potential, I really think that him being on the bench, it gives him a lot more chances to be able to at least be able to be himself, because he doesn't have to deal with the grueling things of being a starting guy and be able to do a lot of more things. I think that we got a guy like Marcus Smart being able to start, and you have a guy like, Brogdon to be in the middle. It lowers his minutes, which means gives him a higher chance of him to being healthy. And I think that's exactly what we need. But I think one big thing that we were able to sign was a sneaky sign. I know we talked about Malcolm Brogdon. It's Danilo Gallinari. I think this was a sneaky lineup. I think that we really wanted somebody who can be able to score, who can be able to, number one, who can play off guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And Danilo Gallinari has definitely showed what he can be able to do when he was in Atlanta. He played with a guy like Trae Young, who holds the ball all day long, and you able to have that guy, you able to really shoot off, be able to score points off that guy. It gives you a better opportunity when you play guys like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Yeah, they hold on the ball, but they don't hold on the ball that much because the Ime Udoka system, we pass the ball a lot around. And let's say something about Danilo Gallinari. He's a sneaky good playmaker. He's a sneaky good passer, and that's something that we really need on our offense. Somebody who's going to be able to score and be a sneaky good playmaker. We already have a guy like Malcolm Brogdon who's a playmaker. We need a guy like Danilo Gallinari who's going to move the ball, and he's going to be able to score. And that's why I think I just love the fact that Brad Stevens was able to add two guys that he really loved. One thing we have to worry about is we got to find a backup big. We was really looking at Thomas Bryant. Apparently, sadly, he signed with LA with the opportunity, I guess, to be able to start on a team that's trying to get in the play-in. But that's just how it be. Guys need that opportunity. We will give it to them. But I've been looking at guys. I think guys like Demarcus Cousins and Dwight Howard can be good alternatives. What about you? What do you think?
I definitely think our backup big situation is something that needs to be handled, definitely. But on the back end, we're going to pluck a guy, because let me tell you something. Once KD lands, he's going to punch the chessboard in a sense. He's going to slam his fist down, and every piece is going to be everywhere. Like everything you thought it was is going to be changed. Every ranking, you don't know where he's going to go. You don't know what he's going to do. And the Nets are not allowing themselves to get turned over in any point during this trade. They're not allowing a Danny Ainge reoccurrence at any point in this trade. They are trying to take bare minimum 2 superstars and picks. So, from last reports I've been reading up on, they got multiple teams added into some kind of chaotic super trade. I don't know what's going on, but I do know one thing: when all the smoke settles, there will be some bigs left over. And there will be some bigs left over that understand, okay, this is the layout of the land. This is the places that I can go and I have a chance to win. And Kevin Durant blowing all those pieces around and making all that noise does not affect us personally as far as our roster. You know, it doesn't affect our chances and impact our roster from where I can see it. I don't see our team making any changes or any type of side deals to make us any less of a chance to go to the championship. And when you have that kind of foundation and that kind of tradition, along with, you know, everything we just did, guys look at that and say, okay, you're a real serious championship contender. You're not just a label. You're serious about, you know, getting that ring. And banner 18 is all we care about right now.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think that's all we care about. Banner 18. We went to the finals last year. We definitely lost that. I feel like an added playmaker off the bench would have been perfect for us, you know, and just to have another big, especially with assurance, because, you know, Robert Williams and Al Horford is old, you know, he's a good player, but he's old.
That's easy to say. I mean, and listen, there's woulda, coulda, shoulda about a lot of different things when it comes to our finals performance. And like, honestly, they don't boil down to additions and subtractions from the roster. Could every addition, if it's positive, of course, we'll take an addition that's strong to the team for sure. I'm not shying away from that. But what I'm saying is, you have a lot of things that came into play that made us lose the finals. You know, Jason Tatum's shoulder, Marcus Smart's whole right leg, you know, Robert Williams' leg, you know, all these things come into play. And I hate to be the guy to call out the injuries. Trust me, I'm not making an excuse. We lost the finals. Steph Curry beat us. They had a absolute great performance in the finals. I give credit to where it's due. Hats off. You know, they played the game and they won. So I'm not taking anything away from it. But when you, all right, cool, banners up, you know, champagne's popping and confetti falls, cool, whatever. Now we're looking towards the next season. And what all I see is us needing to get healthy. That's what I see. So then you add in those playmakers like Gallinari, and you add in those playmakers like Brogdon, who single-handedly make us a better team immediately off the bench.
Without taking any rotation players.
Exactly. So that being said, I just honestly don't feel like there needs to be some kind of huge chess move in order for us to make these final touches. I don't feel like we missed anything, or we coulda, shoulda had if we would have had this, or we'll go get this one piece and we'll be better than last year, in the sense of that's what we were missing. No, because I feel like if Jason Tatum was healthy, if Robert Williams was healthy and could play more than 25 minutes, you know, like all these things come into play. Like his defensive efficiency rating is out of this roof when he's on the floor. Like his plus and minus is sickening.
Everybody knows that. Everybody understands what Rob Williams' impact is. And one thing that we have to say, we understand that health was a main benefactor towards this series. We got to understand that one thing was for sure. We definitely improved by adding to this rotational. We haven't took anybody away from this rotational piece. We added a guy like Malcolm Brogdon. We added a guy like Danilo Gallinari to a place that we didn't have to take any rotation out. Golden State lost players that was in their rotation as far as the championship. We have other players that happen, you know, but, you know, now we have to worry about teams that's going to come up in Eastern Conference and see what's going on. And that's when we go to a guy like Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn Nets. We look at Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn Nets. We see that they have a lot of stuff going on. You know, we already understand the Kyrie drama. We know how that can be able to have an effect on the franchise. So now we have a guy like Kevin Durant who put his trade request in. His top two places is Phoenix and Miami. So do you think that Kevin Durant is going to be able to get a trade going on, or do you think that he's going to stay with the Brooklyn Nets starting the next season?
Oh, he's out of there.
Oh, okay. Before the season start, or, you know, during the season?
Oh, definitely. He's going to be gone. I think he'll be gone within 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Ooh, okay. No, all right. No. Oh, okay.
I think he'll be gone pretty quick. I think they're Brooklyn's playing it smart right now, in the sense of not trying to strike too fast, but there is a sense of also things, you know, sizzling down. People are going to start saying no to everything that you have. And when everyone says no, who do you have left to say yes? And I'm not saying that in a sense like you're trading some garbage piece, but when you're asking for 2 superstars and multiple draft picks, all these things to happen, and you're very stern on that point, then at some point you have to have some give and take. You know, initially the narrative was they wanted to stay together. I haven't seen that narrative in a while.
I haven't either.
Because I don't see Kevin Durant wanting to play with LeBron James. I don't see that. I don't see him wanting to do that. He already said who he wanted to play with, Miami and Phoenix. I don't see Phoenix getting the deal done because they don't want to let go of Devin Booker. And Brooklyn clearly said that if there's no Devin Booker, there's no deal. And they've already said about Kyrie that they could care less about where he wants to go. The same thing about Kevin Durant. They have both said the same thing. The front office have said the same thing on both of them. That their wants and needs are in the front of their, priorities per se, but it's not the top priority in any way, shape, or form, especially not with Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, because I was just thinking about it. I was thinking about it in my head. Like, the Nets have gone through a lot as far as the organization. There was in the New Jersey Net. There was the New Jersey Nets. They dealt with their, misfortunes. Just a bad franchise. They moved to Brooklyn. They got their little duo with Gerald Wallace, Darian Williams, Brook Lopez, and them. Did not work out as much. They put Paul Pierce, KG. They missed out draft picks. They finally get a duo in Kevin Durant and Kyrie. They add to it with a guy like James Harden, and you have one of the most dominant trios that you can ever live if they played the whole season. And that's where we come to where they did not play the whole season, and then everything unfolds and everything falls away. So my question would be that for Brooklyn, do you think that in a reality, would you even trade a Kevin Durant, even though after he asked for his, trade request? Because at the end of the day, nobody really wants Kyrie. Let's get that to the point. Kyrie has been in Boston, he's been in Cleveland, he's been in Brooklyn, and only thing he has done has really ruined the franchise. He hasn't really made anything better. The Lakers have been trying to get him, but there's been reports talking about there's really no traction. I think that, other reports saying that there's stuff going on, but, Sham has said that there's nothing going on as far as Kyrie going to the Los Angeles Lakers. So at the end of the day, do you think that, to be honest, Brooklyn has really added some pieces to this equation, added a lot of players, guys as TJ Warren, and, they have Ben Simmons still on that team. Do you think that Brooklyn's going to keep Kevin Durant and Kyrie on that team for this year?
No.
No? Because
one thing Brooklyn will not do is, I feel like personally, they will not be made a fool of anymore.
You're right.
So I just feel like dragging this out, making them play together, doing the whole Kyrie, because we don't know anything. It's summer right now. Mm-hmm. COVID could spike as soon as the winter strikes, and then the vaccine mandation, all these things, all the problems that came up initially could then come back into play. So you don't know, what's going on with that. That might be a slim chance. I hope it's a slim chance. I hope that we're past this stage, but you never know. So that can come into play, as well as when a guy like Kevin Durant, not just the athlete, not just the basketball player, but just who he is as a person, snapping back on Twitter, lashing out to fans, all types of things. Not saying he's a bad guy, but he's very open-minded. And if he's not happy, he's going to voice himself. So he's clearly not happy. And he's going to voice himself on the court. He's going to voice himself off the court. And in so many different ways that's going to negatively affect your franchise. So why drag that out for an entire year with both of them? You know what I mean? Like two 7th grade middle school girls, who are on the cheerleading team together, who are dating the same guy. You know what I mean? Like, they're just acting all snappy, and it's not even at each other. It's just that they feel like they're in a situation to not win. So, and as simple as it may sound, and as crazy as it may sound, that Kyrie and KD can't win, I don't know if you want to blame it on Steve Nash, the rotation players, the front gym. I'm not too in-depth into Brooklyn and what they have going on. I just know that Kevin Durant, you look at the pattern in the history that he has played this game, if something doesn't work, he will leave. And he's on the back end of his career now. Like, he's a great player, but the peak of his career is no longer. I'm not saying he's plummeting out or anything like that. He's still a Hall of Fame, the greatest scorer to ever play basketball, I feel like. So when you look at those things, yeah, he can still win another championship, but he wants to go to Miami, put his feet in the sand, and relax and coast out his career. He's got 4 years left on this deal. Who's to say he won't retire after this? Who's to say this home he's looking for is not the last place? He might sign a 2-year after that in the same place. You never know. Who's to say?
And I feel like when you, I think in Miami, I think since they do a lot of things as far as conditioning and stuff like that, it's just hard to be able to relax in and really enjoy Miami because you're always really trying to make sure you're in shape. Because, you know, this is Pat Riley's organization. You want to make sure you're great. You want to make sure you're in shape. I think that's the reason why, one of the reasons why PJ Tucker left, because he all as PJ Tucker has this dog mentality. He left because it's like, I gotta make sure I'm fit. I gotta make sure I have this amount of percentage of body fat and stuff like that in Miami. Like, I'd rather be in Philly. I'd rather be in Philly where that is not the requirement. But at the end of the day, we're gonna move on to free agency because there's so much stuff that happened in free agency. Because at the end of the day, the NBA is all about free agency. There's so much crazy things going on. We talk about biggest takeaways. My biggest takeaways of the free agency was really the Gobert to Timberwolves. Like I said, Utah Jazz, the president of Utah Jazz is Danny Ainge. We know what Danny Ainge does. He knows he wants his picks. He loves his picks. And he got like 5 first-round picks from this trade. I think that we looked at Minnesota Timberwolves. They have to look in a direction that they just need to. The rebuilding is cool. They see the improvement. They went to the playoffs. Now it's start building building for the championship. You already got the young players. There's no need to use the first-round picks. They traded first-round picks. Cool. They got a guy like Gobert, who's one of the best defensive bigs in the NBA. They talked about having, Gobert and Karl-Anthony Towns in a way where they can be like how Rob Williams and Al Horford was in the way with the double big lineups as far as staggering them. You can use Gobert in some situations, but you can't. But when that opportunity comes, you can put Karl-Anthony Towns at the 5, which creates a lot of opportunities. And that's why you bring in a guy like Kyle Anderson, who they took from the Memphis Grizzlies. I thought that was a beautiful pickup for the Memphis Grizzlies. Not Memphis Grizzlies, but the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think this Minnesota Timberwolves team could be a top 4 team in the West. They have the roster. They traded guys that's not even in the starting lineup. So they traded Malik Beasley, and that might be a big loss. Patrick Beverley, who was a sneaky good playmaker with them in the playoffs, they let him go. At the end of the day, when you bring in a guy like Rudy Gobert, who has been in playoffs ready, who's been in an organization that only wins, you bring that playoff mentality, you bring that winning mentality in Minnesota, and I really think that's going to be a good way to be able to propel them forward to be a top 4 seed in the Western Conference. Now, I don't know, what's your biggest takeaway as far as this NBA free agency?
To touch up on what you said, definitely, I think the Minnesota trade, I'm not mad at that in any way, shape, or form. Of course, those looking at it say, okay, well, you gave up a lot. And you look at that in the whole standpoint, you say, yeah, I might have, and that might turn into something down the road. But when you're playing with Danny Ainge, when you're dealing with Danny Ainge, you kind of got to take what you can get, You just kind of sign your soul away, and you got to say, well, it could be worse. It could have been worse. We could have lost something else. So the fact that they, got that deal done, you compared it to Al and Rob. I think that's a more Celtic direction to go. But I think they're definitely a better duo than Al and Rob, just because Al is a little bit older now.
Most definitely.
But I personally think it's more of a David Robinson, Tim Duncan kind of combination, just a little bit more extended as far as Tim's range and Cat's range. But I do feel like that inside-out game that Tim Duncan displays is something Cat can do, and Rudy can post up on the low block just like David. And it's going to be something interesting to see, especially with Ant running the show. So that is going to be something in its own. And if I'm not mistaken, they still have D'Angelo, right? D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, they still got Russell.
Yeah. I saw he was in trade talks, but I didn't know if they were going to let him go or not. But now they still have him. And, that's a solid 4. Of course, now the biggest part about it that everyone doesn't understand most times, to win a championship, it's always those others. The others are the most important part of a championship team. So you have to have those others, and they need to go shopping immediately for those others. So, that is a good trade. Danny Ainge is being a mastermind in Utah, especially in the restart button. I personally think he should just go ahead and ship Donovan Mitchell off and get what he can for him, because I don't see him and his personality and his mindset wanting to stick it out more than 3 years. And it's going to take about 2 to 3 years for them to get back to the playoffs, I feel like, if Danny Ainge is really going to press restart. And Donovan's been out to dinner with Jimmy Butler. He's been in Miami a lot. We don't know what can happen with that. If KD doesn't end up in Miami, I'm willing to bet that Donovan Mitchell will. The Jazz said they have no interest in trading him, but they're butting heads for the most part because he went to the front office to ask about what exactly they're doing.
Yeah.
And apparently he didn't get the answers he wanted. So we'll see what's going on with that situation for sure. But my biggest takeaway from the free agency market, I don't know. It really hasn't. It's been a couple drops, couple splashes here and there. I mean, it may sound biased, but I feel like my favorite one was Malcolm Brogdon. Just because I feel like he's a guy who's looking for that restart. He's looking for that home. And I just feel like, honestly, that's something that he needs, is just that home, that place for him just to be able to say, okay, I don't have that much pressure on me now, in the sense of starting and, like you said, minutes, rotation, things of that nature. So I feel like he'll be able to get a healthy start there, and it'll be something that Boston really needed from a non-biased standpoint. Just looking at it analytically, that's exactly what they needed. So that was probably one of my favorite pickups. Of course, Rudy Gobert, that was one of my pickups. I'm interested to see. My initial thought, I won't even lie to you, my initial thought was, wow, so what are they going to do with Karl Anthony Towns? Like, I don't know why, it just didn't even cross my mind for him to play the 4 for some reason. Just because I feel like he put so much work in to be dominant down there. Like, just from that, you remember that meme with him trying to back down Boogie? You remember how small his shoulders were, his arms? Like, now he's such a dominant, you know what I mean, big. I just felt like he put in so much work, but he clearly is on board with it. He's ready to, display his inside-out range, and it's definitely going to play out well. I want to see them play this year. So NBA, all them, TNT, ESPN, y'all get them on TV, man, because I need to see them play this year.
Yeah, because I was thinking about my head, I was looking at more of the fact that Karl Anthony Towns last year was really playing more of the 4 as far as offense, and he had Vanderbilt as far as as a center. So yeah, Karl Anthony Towns has been used to these things that he's been able to do. I know it's a little different now since you have really a all NBA, all defensive type of guy in the middle. So that's a guy that he has to be there. So I want to see how that works. But I just think that he's such a very good player, and I think that's the only problem I have with him. But Karl Anthony Towns on offense, I think that it's going to be a perfect match because I heard Karl Anthony Towns is a shooter. He's one of the greatest 3-point shooter big men of all time. And he hasn't retired yet, so we seen what he has. And then you have a guy like Rudy Gobert who's in the paint. Karl Anthony Towns has really improved his playmaking abilities. I think that if Ant can be able to take that next step as far as playmaking, this could be a very sneaky good team. Like Chris Finch, their head coach, is a competitor. He competes. He loves to compete, and I have no problem with him being able to find out a way to make everything work because he loves to compete, and I can see that with this organization in Minnesota. They definitely took a new step forward with getting Chris Finch from Toronto. I think that's a very perfect pickup. I think that's great, and I think that this is going to work, but we're going to start talking about this last thing, and I think KT, this is the best thing I love because I love to have you on the show about this because you are big on hot takes. I one thing I have to admit, Mr. KT will definitely sneak a hot take in, and we'll finish the podcast. He will definitely run away. You know what I'm saying? If it's good, he would definitely talk about it. If it's bad, you would never hear from KT about it ever again. He acted like he had never talked about it again. But that's the point. And that's why I needed him on the show, because our first episode of the Mount Sports Talk, we're going to talk about hot takes. And KT, we're going to start with you with a hot take. What do you think, KT? What do you think, KT?
What kind of hot takes do you want from me, man?
Hey,
what do you want? NCAA,
KT,
NBA, NFL. What you want, man?
NCAA.
It's July right now, man.
It's July. That's what I'm saying. It's hot take season. It's hot take season.
Yeah, man.
It's hot take season.
Stick to the wall, or they're gonna fall. You know what I mean?
They're gonna fall. Exactly. We just make a hot take. So let's decide.
Right, so just run down the list for me, and I'll give you a hot take on each.
All right, let's.
Good. That's good thinking. Good. You was quick. You was good on your feet.
Start with NBA. Give me a big NBA topic and give me a big NBA hot take and let me know what it is. It could be Boston. You know, I already know the Celtics going to the.
Yeah. We going back bare minimum Eastern Conference Finals. Bare minimum.
Nice.
That's an ice cold take. I'm not even worried about that.
Yeah.
I think a hot take is I think LeBron will either not make the playoffs or first round exit next year. That's what I think. And I think that's going to propel him to leave. Yeah, that's what I think. And mind you, this take was dated before any trades were made for, you know, Kyrie or KD or whatever it may land.
This will be posted tomorrow. So
I'm just letting everyone know. But I don't see LeBron. And you can call me a LeBron hater, whatever. I don't see it. I would have had a hot take in Charlotte making a bigger splash next year, but it looked like Mr. Bridges won't be participating in that. So he unfortunately messed that hot take up.
Participating in jail. That's what he'd be participating in jail.
Hey,
so
man.
prison ball.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's unfortunate circumstances for sure. But past that, I definitely see Luka making a Western Conference appearance again next year. I see them going all the way to the Western Conference Finals again next year. I just feel like Luka and Jason Tatum both in the same have just barely scraped the cusp of the greatness they're going to be achieving in the future. I think Jason Tatum and both Luka learned a lesson from Steph Curry. And that
who's gonna be better, Luka or Jason Tatum? Who's gonna be better? My bad. You know, I want to see that from me. Down the road, overall player, who's gonna be better? I definitely want to see that in
I feel like it's gonna be Jason Tatum. If you want to hear my Jason Tatum hot take and you call it what you want, man, I feel like he's gonna when all the chips are falling and everything is said and done, I feel like he will have, if not neck and neck, but a better Celtics legacy than Larry Bird. I feel like he would be the greatest Celtics who ever played the game. I love this.
Because that's why I love you on podcast.
You can't name a great. LeBron, Kobe, Jordan, Tim, Duncan, Kevin Garnett, all of these guys. Shaq got swept with Kobe twice. So come on, everybody takes their lickings. Everybody, bro, we fought LeBron James for 6 years almost, bro. Like, come on, there's a lesson in that. You know, we finally make it to the finals. We lose to arguably one of the best teams ever built and the greatest shooter ever in his greatest finals performance ever. So it's like there are lessons in that. So I feel like Jason Tatum, listen, it's all coming to play. Because Larry Bird lost to Julius Erving in the Eastern Conference Finals his rookie year and then went to the finals the next year and won it all. But granted, you know, basketball, evolution of basketball, the timeline is going to be a little bit more spaced out for Jason Tatum because the competition is better. But I do feel like his legacy will stand neck and neck with Larry Bird, simply. So that's my NBA take. Luka be in the Western Conference Finals, LeBron have a first round exit, Celtics be in the Eastern Conference Finals. And Ja will be in MVP top two.
Let's sneak a little college basketball and NFL in this crazy. You know, KT, I need all your hot takes before you get off because, you know, at the end of the day, I love your hot takes. I love that you're able to sneak hot takes in. KT, you're the king of sneaking something in and going out like nobody said anything, you know? And at the end of the day, I'm definitely going to know all this, KT, because, you know, I love your hot takes. And when you talk about the Celtics, I love it, you know? And this is definitely going to be known around the podcast because at the end of the day, Mount Sport Talks talk about hot takes. We are big on hot takes.
Okay.
And we got to have the most biggest hot take going to, man, Mr. KT. So, you know, let's talk about NCAA. Let's talk about NCAA and football. What you think?
NCAA basketball, that's easy right there. That's real easy. I think just as in 2017, UNC, our boys is coming back and the floor will be proper this time and we will get our ring that we rightfully deserve. You know what I mean? And it's just that simple. And it's just that simple. All my Duke fans out there, shout out. Coach K's gone. Ha. Welcome to your Hall of Fame Coaches Retired Club. So we'll see what your protege has, and we'll see what your recruiting class is gonna do without Coach K signing all the checks. So that being said, that's easy money. But another hot take about NCAA basketball, this will be the turning point in the conferences. The SEC is going to be known as the basketball conference within the next 3 years over the ACC. And I've been riding for the ACC for a long time, but the SEC with this NIL, they have way more money from boosters in the SEC than a lot of these colleges in the ACC. So that comes into play, and just the talent and just the ability they've been able to get cats to the draft, even without winning. Cats like Colin Sexton and, you know, dudes getting drafted out of LSU and so on and so forth. I'm telling you, the SEC is definitely going to start making a push over the next 3 years, and it's going to start this year. This year is going to be a lot of upsets come March Madness time, and the SEC is going to make a big splash. I'm telling you.
Okay, all right, and I want you to make sure my big hot take for the NBA. I think one thing is that we have to look at. I think that, like I said, I just said about the Timberwolves. I think Timberwolves is going to be a top 4 seed. I think that we're looking at one of the top 10 teams in the NBA right now. I think that they could be a potential top 5. I think they're just that good with the right head coach. I think that they really have the right combination now this year to be able to make a push. If Anthony Edwards can make that next step, we're talking about, number one, Anthony Edwards, a guy who's really good, but we're talking about a team that can really make some noise, not only in the Western Conference Finals, but in the NBA playoffs and potentially the NBA Finals. But that's a big hot take that we definitely will talk about. But let's just talk about college basketball. I like that. I really like what you said about the SEC. To be honest, I really think that this NIL deal, the fact that it was when they are able to start doing this now, I think that we looked at college basketball as the thing where people just play basketball, to work hard to be able to get to the NBA. Now we have to worry about, we're talking about the NBA as far as the college basketball. Right. At the end of the day, they're getting paid. There's people that's getting hard. There's people that's getting. People say they love KT. There's people that say they love college basketball because they work hard, they don't get paid, don't have to worry about all that money and stuff like that. But now we have
those people are ignorant to the recruiting process in itself. Let's call it what it is. Everybody knows it's money daps going around. It's random card drop-offs, new houses, new jobs. Like, come on now. That's been going on. But you know what it is now? That you have NIL, all that is a contract between you now. So now these guys that get that money and get those houses and cars and all that stuff, now if they break their leg or tear their ACL or they're no longer useful to the boosters or the school, guess what? That car's still there, that job is still there, and that house is still there.
A lot of things. But KT, at the end of the day, I want to appreciate you being on the show. I love to have you as the first special guest on our show, KT. I love the fact that we can be able to do hot takes. We can talk about this because we've done this in college. And the fact that we can be able to go on the show and be able to talk about the same things we talk about in college. Everybody understand the stuff that we have and the stuff that we argue about. And KT, absolutely. I definitely want to appreciate you, KT. So
absolutely, man. It's a joy being up here, man. Thanks for having me, bro, man. It's great watching y'all blossom and do y'all thing, man. Anytime I can help, I'm here for you. Y'all give me a follow, you know what I'm saying, on Instagram, whatever. Anything y'all need, hit me up, let me know. Any upcoming writers, high school, college, whatever, sports analysts, stat book guy, whatever you need, any advice, help, just hit me up, man. I'm always here to help out. Damn, and shout out to Ron, shout out to the Washington Wizards who are gonna suck again this year for Ron, and the Dallas Cowboys who are gonna suck again this year for Ron. I just want to give a big shout out to the Lakers for Kev, because they're gonna suck too, and Aubrey. The Bulls are still going to be awful and overhyped. Like, I don't care about none of that y'all talking about right now, all right? I just want to let it be known before I get off the pod.
Yes, sir. Let them know. I want to make sure everybody understands. And we're definitely going to put this as a little preview, so make sure they understand that too, so they know. But hey, y'all, thanks for watching the Mouth Sports Talk, and I definitely will see y'all later. So stay tuned. See y'all.